This is a secret level briefing information session for the $5 level patrons at the Florida Maquis. Tomorrow, of course, is Top Secret Tuesday at $10. Need to Know Wednesday at $15. Roundtable at $20 on Thursdays, and then Maquis Masters on Friday at $50 and above. Now today, what we are going to do is actually put some of the things that we have been talking about into practice, identifying things like cognitive dissonance, things like the normality bias or the confirmation bias. And we can see it, and we are very blessed to have this. It's a 6-minute interview. Now, it's from CBS Good Morning America. I don't even know what the name of the show is, but this guy named Manuel Padilla, chief of the Rio Grande Valley sector of Customs and Border Protection, is interviewed by this female anchor. I don't know who she is, but they're both attempting to run psychological operations on each other and the audience at the same time. And at the end, I guess we'll have a debate as to who might have won. There are a couple of mistakes, but there's also a couple of things in there that they miss. And without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and play this.
As chief of the Rio Grande Valley sector of Customs and Border Protection, he is responsible for the busiest area of illegal crossings in the country and for implementing the policy. He's with us now for an interview that you'll see only on CBS this morning. Chief Padilla, we thank you very much for joining us, because I know you were hearing the conversation and hearing a lot of the heated conversation. People say that this zero tolerance policy actually means zero humanity. What do you say to that?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gale. Thank you for...
Okay, we'll start right off with the first question. She prefaces, because I know you were hearing, already assuming something about the guy, this heated discussion about this zero tolerance equals zero humanity. What do you think about that? Of course, it's a leading question of sorts, but being a psychological operator himself, he responds just like you would imagine. Here we go.
Being here at the busiest location on the border, 40% of all the apprehensions happen in this sector. 44% of all the seizures of marijuana happen in this sector, and when we compare it to the rest of the southwest border. So with that, those are just numbers.
Exactly, those are just numbers. What does marijuana seizures have to do with zero tolerance?
A very complex situation when you have high levels of activity and a lack of resources, personnel, technology, and infrastructure. It creates kind of this chaotic environment. This chaotic environment manifests itself by vehicle rollovers. We had a terrible case yesterday where 5 lost their lives. Yeah.
Okay, so we are almost, 30 seconds into his response, and he hasn't talked about zero tolerance or zero humanity at all. He's literally just described an entirely different situation to completely change the direction of the conversation. Classic psychological operation.
We have over 1,000 rescues where the agents are rescuing people on a daily basis. And then we also have the snatch houses where people are just subjected to just terrible conditions while they're being held as they're being smuggled. This smuggling really fuels the cartel violence on the south side. And so when we're talking about zero tolerance policy, we have done different efforts throughout the years. 2014, we started detaining this population of family units.
But Chief Padilla, let me stop you for just a second, because I don't want to go back to 2014.
And there's a really good reason she doesn't want to go back to 2014. This is where we have two groups of people, meaning people who supported the last administration and people who support the current administration, both in a simultaneous state of cognitive dissonance over the exact same topic. It is a study in mental disambiguation. The idea is this, that Mr. Trump allegedly is a lot tougher on immigration than Mr. Obama was. But when they confront those who are for this policy of separating the families, one of the defenses is like, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't a Trump policy, this is Trump just continuing Obama's policy, which is true. This is exactly what he was saying. Goes back to 2014. But they miss the point of, wait a minute, how can Trump be tougher if he's doing the same thing Obama was doing? Or how could, and from the left, how can they say Obama was so much more humane and nicer if he was doing the same thing Trump's doing? So anyway, didn't want to get off on too much of a tangent. We'll continue.
I know that this is complicated for you and your team, but what people are talking about is cruel and humane behavior, is how it's perceived. Do you actually agree with this policy, or are you carrying out orders? Well,
okay, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but the question is, if he's there doing a job, it doesn't matter. This has stopped being her interviewing this guy in his position, and now she's interviewing the guy personally. My first response would have been to that clearly. My personal issues aside here, I can defend the policy without my own personal beliefs one way or the other.
I tell you, I do agree that we have to do something. We created this situation by not doing anything. So what happens with zero tolerance is we were exempting a group, a population from the law. And what happens when you do that, it creates a vacuum, it creates a draw for a certain group of people that rises to trends that become a crisis. I'm going to give you an example here. Because we were releasing family units, we were not taking any action. May 2nd, just last month, we had an MS-13, full-blown MS-13, accompanied by his 1-year-old child.
Stop him again. Okay, great technique. He talks about rising to the level of crisis, that not doing anything caused a problem. And then he gives you an anecdotal story of one individual did one thing at one time. One person does not create a crisis. See, the problem that they're saying here is that without doing anything, we just have this mass influx of illegal immigration that we don't know who's who. Well, he just said that as they got to the border, they knew exactly who's who. That they can differentiate. That's MS-13, that's not. So he just literally slipped this right through on her, and she had no idea. So at this point, he's winning.
Thought that he was going to get released into the community. That was not the case.
But help us understand how we are seeing the pictures and hearing the stories of mothers and children who their children. I met a woman yesterday where they were separated for 6 days, who was fleeing because she was afraid of gang violence. Help us understand why some of the families are being told that your children are going to be taken to given a bath, and they don't see their children. How is that okay?
So very respectfully, Ms. Gale, that's misinformation that is out there.
That's absolutely the most amazing answer right there. She just literally said, I saw this and I saw that and I heard this myself. And then he comes back with, no, that's wrong. That's misinformation. You didn't see that. You didn't hear that. That didn't occur. Amazing.
There's a story about removing a child from a breastfeeding mother. Absolutely not true.
But I'm not talking about that.
Every family member gets a sheet with information to keep track of their child, to get information where that child is, and they're all reunited at the...
Where I was yesterday, I had parent after parent tell me they weren't told where their child was going, that their child was just being taken away, that they had no way to communicate with their children. That's not misinformation. That's someone that I heard with my own ears and was talking to the people.
That is misinformation.
Doubling down on this. That's misinformation. It's amazing because he is literally, I mean, honestly, at this point, he's got a lot more training than she does. She's used to manipulating her audience. He's used to manipulating people one-on-one, and that's a little bit of a different thing, but we'll keep going.
Very respectfully. So let me give you another piece of context.
How is it misinformation if they're saying it to me? Are they not telling the truth to me?
Well, no, we have a sheet that we give, and we came out with a sheet that we give to the parents because that was a potential gap of information. Parents just being, apart from their children, need information what is going to happen. So there's a information sheet that explains the entire process. You violated the law. You are going to go through the judicial process. While you're going through this process, you are going to be separated from your child, temporarily separated from your child, and then reunited at the point when you serve your sentence. Let me give another piece of
Does this seem
context.
like a cruel and inhumane treatment to you?
Ma'am, we do that with the United States citizens. If a United States citizen violates the law, and that person is accompanied by his or her children, and they're going through a judicial process, the children are separated from that parent because the kids are not going through that process.
Real quick. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But the problem with that assertion here is if you get in your car and someone is chasing you with a knife, and you jump in your car and you get in and you run through a red light and you don't stop at another stop sign and you drive as fast as you can to the police station, no, you are not liable for all of those traffic infractions. Why? You were fleeing for your life. And that's the case here, that he's not, of course, including. He's just basically broad brushing everybody, saying they're all criminals simply by being here, yet in his own statement earlier said that there was an MS-13 gang member that had what was supposed to be his own kid. You know, they can clearly tell who's who, but we'll keep going.
So I think a lot of people lose sight. The other thing that people lose sight of...
Do you think we're all too emotional about this?
I think that's a very good point. If we look at this situation without emotion and without politics, to be honest with you, I'm an operator.
Did you hear that? I'm an operator. Oops. Psychological operator just slipped.
You're a father.
And I am a father. If we look at this objectively, we have to do something, because when you have this flow of people, and these people are fleeing poverty and fleeing other things,
And violence.
totally understood.
Yes, yes.
But when you have this flow of people, that trek is so dangerous. Over 1,000 rescues this year. Last week.
You're wrapping me up. I have to go. But I have to say, with all due respect, I think it's hard to look at this story without emotion. But I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for coming down here and understanding.
Thank you.
Yep. And I think they wrapped her at that point because they realized they were dealing with someone who was a trained psychological operator that they weren't going to catch in a gotcha moment. And that's what happened here. So, cognitive dissonance on both sides, but this guy, I think, clearly just was more in command of what the narrative he was going to create, and did a better job of maintaining and staying on point with that narrative. Even when she said, I saw this, and he said, no, that's wrong, you didn't see that, basically saying that's disinformation. She comes back, oh, no, I mean, literally, I physically saw it, and I talked to people. He's like, no, sorry, you didn't see that. This is how these guys do this. It's absolutely how they operate, and it's rare to catch one on camera, and to see them do what they do and do it against media types that have been doing it in a lot more relaxed environment than they are here. But anyway, we will leave it there. So you can go back through this and see if you can identify any other places where psychological operations, cognitive dissonance, normality bias, all that stuff is being used. So we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for you guys. Appreciate it. This has been a secret level briefing. Tomorrow, top secret briefing at $10. Thank you.